the first time in, I think, 4 years now, the Trump administration is making them take away end racism, which they had written in the end zone, right?
It just seems silly. I mean,
to do it or not to do it?
Why get rid of it?
Oh, I could tell you why.
I know, but it's just like you're
because it was stupid to begin with.
Yeah, but
let me ask you, who is it for? And if you're a racist and you see end racism in the end zone, you're going to stop being a racist?
Bill Maher, a figure-long synonymous with sharp liberal commentary, just flipped the entire media narrative on its head, on none other than CNN. This wasn't some mild disagreement or playful jab. Maher delivered a jarring defense of Donald Trump, ripped into virtue signaling, and left the stunned CNN panel at a total loss. What exactly did he say that has everyone talking? And how did he manage to rattle not just CNN, but viewers who never imagined Maher would stray from his usual script? Stick around, because once you hear this explosive exchange, you'll understand why CNN might be regretting they ever invited him on. For years, Bill Maher stood as a blistering critic of conservative politics, and especially of Donald Trump. Anytime he showed up on talk shows, audiences braced themselves for fiery condemnations of right-wing hypocrisy. CNN, known for its anti-Trump stance, was practically salivating at the prospect of having Maher reinforce their usual critiques. But the second he started speaking, you could feel the studio's collective jaw drop. His opening salvo, challenging the premise that everything Trump touches is automatically toxic. The panelists froze. Maher insisted that excessive demonization might actually fuel Trump's popularity, making him a sort of underdog. Viewers on social media exploded, celebrating Maher's candor or condemning him as a traitor. It was a moment no one could have scripted, and it only escalated from there. But the real shock came when Maher set his sights on the left's favorite slogans. Maher zeroed in on the NFL's and racism messages in the end zones. For the average CNN viewer, these words seem inspiring, symbolic statements of unity. Maher's take? Pure corporate posturing. He questioned who these phrases are supposed to convince. If you already oppose racism, you don't need a sign to remind you. If you're a full-blown bigot, no billboard or end zone message will magically change your beliefs. In his words, such gestures only make people feel scolded during activities, like watching sports, that are meant to unite rather than divide. Some CNN hosts try to defend the idea of awareness, claiming these phrases send a positive signal. But Maher shot back, arguing that if the media truly wanted positive change, they'd focus on meaningful policies instead of patting themselves on the back for slogans. The conversation turned tense. You could practically sense the producers behind the camera whispering, "This isn't going how we planned." Next, Maher tackled something even more uncomfortable for the network. The segment took a dramatic turn when Maher brought up mind-blowing statistics about government waste, referencing trillions of dollars lost in improper payments. Think about that. Trillions of dollars that could have funded better schools, infrastructure, or health care just evaporating due to incompetence and corruption. He demanded to know why this isn't front and center in media coverage, especially when both parties love to talk about helping the average American. The CNN panel squirmed, trying to pivot towards standard political drama, partisan battles, who said what on Twitter, and endless speculation about upcoming elections. Maher wouldn't budge. He drove his point home. If networks spent half their energy investigating astronomical financial waste, the public might hold politicians accountable, regardless of party. Instead, we get 1,000 think pieces on a single presidential tweet, but barely a whisper about billions vanishing in a fiscal black hole. But that was only the setup for his next major bombshell. Shifting gears, Maher zeroed in on a boiling issue, the battle over what kids learn in school. He highlighted how many parents, even those who traditionally vote Democrat, are outraged by policies that seem to sideline them from major decisions. Whether it's controversial curriculum topics or policies around students' personal identities, Maher exposed the media's tendency to dismiss parents as nuisances or even snitches. CNN's host tried to argue that Democrats value family involvement. Maher wasn't buying it. He rattled off examples of parents feeling alienated or openly ridiculed at school board meetings. In some areas, schools were accused of keeping major decisions about a child's well-being under wraps. For Maher, that was the surest way to drive moderate parents into the arms of Republican candidates who promised to prioritize parental input. As tensions reached a breaking point, one host attempted a feeble pivot, but Maher had another grenade to lob. By this point, the panel was visibly frazzled. They tried once more to draw Maher into the usual talk: Trump controversies, the Republican culture war, and so on. Maher refused. Instead, he argued that CNN's over-the-top coverage of Trump could be driving voters toward him, humanizing him in a way that no PR campaign could match. The network was stunned. They'd never envisioned a scenario where Bill Maher, an outspoken liberal, would turn around and say, actually, the media's relentless Trump bashing might have backfired. Their attempts at pushback felt half-hearted at best. Maher seized the moment to highlight the cycle of outrage. The media blasts Trump nonstop. Trump supporters rally behind him even harder, and the coverage intensifies. It's a perpetual motion machine of political drama that leaves the real concerns of Americans, like skyrocketing national debt or an education crisis, in the dust. But Maher saved his harshest critique for last. In a final stroke that rattled CNN to its core, Maher pointed the finger at cancel culture, describing it as a poison that strangles real debate. He condemned the impulse to deplatform anyone who questions mainstream narratives, whether they're right or left, and warned that this culture of silencing is ultimately undermining democracy. For a platform like CNN, where certain topics and viewpoints can feel nearly taboo, this critique landed with a thud. It was clear they had no ready-made counterpoint. Moreover, Maher referenced broader, uncomfortable stories that the media tends to gloss over, cases of corruption or wrongdoing in supposedly progressive institutions, where coverage is often muted compared to the endless attention on conservative scandals. The silence in the studio was deafening. The hosts managed polite smiles, but the energy was unmistakable. Bill Maher had just upended the conversation in a way few guests ever do. Then came the closing zinger that shook viewers at home. As the show wrapped, you could see the relief and unease in equal measure on the CNN side. Maher left them with a pointed warning. If the media and political establishments don't address real issues like government incompetence, school controversies, and voter alienation, they risk pushing more people into the arms of so-called outsiders like Donald Trump. Because when the system fails, outsiders don't look so bad to the average American. Social media lit up. Fans of Maher praised his independence, while some on the left branded him a sellout. Conservatives applauded, saying he's finally making sense. And CNN? Their scramble for damage control only made the moment more viral. Reports emerged of heated internal discussions, some calling for never inviting Maher back, others arguing they need to engage more voices like his. But the final question is,